Hello everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Power Series. Today, Positive Luxury's co-founder and CEO, Diana Verdenieto, will be in conversation with four amazing guests. Livia Manca di Villahermosa, the founder of Balance Holidays, a conscious company offering exclusive well-being retreats in Europe and a brand in the positive luxury community. Barry Cox, the co-founder of Lagom, a sustainable luxury travel company based in Switzerland, and another brand in the positive luxury community. Denise Elphick, the co-founder of PetsPyjamas, the #1 dog-friendly travel destination, and Joe McDonnell, the head of Insight at WGSN, a global trend forecasting company. Today, they will be discussing the future of luxury conscious travel, in a post-lockdown world. Before we start, please note you can submit your questions anytime during the webinar in the Q&A box, and we'll be answering them at the end. Over to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Claudia, and thank you so much, Denise, Barry, Livia, and Joe for joining us today, and thank you so much for everybody to join today. Like Claudia said, we will be discussing the future of luxury conscious travel, which is not an oxymoron, I must say. And I have today four incredible guests that will share some light onto how to unlock, how to get unlocked down, basically. So I'd like to start with Barry. Barry, thank you so much for taking the time today, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about Lagom and the philosophy behind the brand. I mean, it's a relatively new company, but the vision in which was built is pretty phenomenal. So over to you.
Thanks very much, Diana, and thanks to Positive Luxury as well, which is a fantastic stable for us to be a part of. So Lagom is really the third brand on our portfolio. It's and marks the evolution of what we do, which is luxury hospitality in the Alps. We began operating 15 years ago with just one chalet, where the owners operated the chalet, and we evolved from there, moving luxury into super luxury. And then in the last few years, we operate in the pristine mountain landscapes, and where we are more exposed to climate change, both through sort of the visible reduction in glaciers, but also in sort of shifting winters, which have a direct impact on our business, and sort of it really strengthened the already important ethos of sustainability within our business. So we went back to the drawing board and really started looking at what we could do. As you said already, luxury and sustainability is a bit of an oxymoron, and reconciling the two is no easy task. And my co-founder in Lagom, Tash, she was having a conversation or talking to a Swedish friend of ours and complimenting her on a new chair that she had got. And this friend returned back saying, "Oh, it's very Lagom." And Lagom is it's a Swedish word. It's a concept, a philosophy almost, which means not too much, not too little, just the right amount. And we thought that this would be a fantastic base to build our new brand and philosophy around, or our new business around. So what we did was, through that, we decided what we would do is we would build a brand that had a reduced number of services than we offer in our other two brands, but also those services that we did offer in Lagom, we would present the opportunity to our guests to specify which of them they want, the frequency that they want, and we got those services audited for the carbon emissions that they create, and then we built what we call a slider, so that the guests could go through each of those services and make the choice for themselves on what they wanted. So let's say, for example, housekeeping. If they wanted housekeeping every day of their stay, or if they just wanted it midweek and end of their stay, or if they wanted it just at the end of their stay. And through the slider, we run an algorithm which adjust the price accordingly, but also adjust the carbon emissions as a result of their choices. And so really that's the concept of the business. You know, we know that we can't force people to behave in a certain way, but hopefully by providing the tools and choices to people, people will make more conscious decisions. So that's it, really.
Thank you so much, Barry. I mean, from one luxury brand to another positive luxury brand. And I'd like to actually kind of go to Livia and ask you a little bit more about Balanced Holidays. I mean, you built a fantastic concept, and you are a relatively new company as well, but you have been having incredible success. So can you share a little bit more with us?
Thank you, Diana, and I'm very happy to be here today. Yeah, so Balanced Holidays was launched in 2019 and is the expert curator of short well-being breaks. We partner with properties and hotels that are in beautiful off-the-beaten-track destinations and design programs that leverage their strengths and are about restoring vitality of our guests in beautiful natural environments. Nature is really at the center of what we do, as we believe it's naturally conducive to well-being. Our programs are usually 3 to 5 days. They're short intentionally to allow people that work as well to attend and then take back home skills to apply in their everyday life. And they're all inclusive. So from the field to fork meal to obviously we involve deeply respect well-being experts and add all sorts of life enhancing activities in connection with nature. When we launched the company, we were all about travel and well-being, so really well-being through travel. It's really big on our website when you land on the homepage, and we really believe that now even more there's really a need for that, and especially after this time there's going to be a big appetite for breaks and holidays that are about reconnecting with oneself, nature, and really going back to the basics a little bit, things that we've forgotten along the way and we rediscovered now.
Thank you so much, Livia. And I can definitely see a partnership between Lagom and Balanced Holidays. Lots of stuff in common. And I'd like to focus on Denise. Denise, you have built, kind of with Karen Hansen, a successful pet-friendly travel company. Bang on into the trend. So Joe, I'm sure that you have some of the stats on this, but in the beginning of lockdown, people have predicted this will be the year, or next year will be the year of most birth of babies. Now, actually the number says that is the year of most adoption of dogs. So Denise, tell us a little bit more about PetsPyjamas.
Oh, well, PetsPyjamas really started because we were just so, well, Karen and I were both mad on dogs. And she suggested setting up a company based around dogs. So 12 years ago, I think 8 years ago, we started PetsPyjamas. And at that stage, it was a sort of pet lifestyle company. And we focused on services and things you could buy for your pet, but also focused on some hotels that we recommended. And then suddenly we found the hotel side, or the travel side, traveling with your pet, completely took off. So now I think we are the #1 dog-friendly online travel company, and we send more and more people and pets on holiday, and that seems to be what people want. And we offer, I mean, you can travel with us to a 5-star hotel, a shepherd's hut, a beach. You could stay in a beach hut. You can stay on an estate in lots of different cottages or a big house. It's, with us, it's quite a big offering. And our company seems to have grown and grown. And now we completely focus on that travel side, traveling with your pet. And our intention really is to make hotels and cottages more and more dog welcoming, to encourage them to offer more services geared to the pet, really to welcome them as well as they would welcome their humans. And we're finding that our properties are definitely doing that. So it's and as you say, Diana, I mean, more, and you yourself have just got a dog, and more people are getting dogs. And they found over lockdown that they were just such good company. They were just such good friends. And I think a lot of people want to reward their dogs, take their dogs on a holiday with them. So this year we're concentrating a lot on our doggy staycations. And we have, I didn't mention, but yes, we have a pet concierge. So, you know, we can personalize your holiday. If you say, I've got 3 Labradors and I want to go to the beach in Devon, we'll find you a hotel that will take your 3 dogs. So that's really what it is now.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. And, you know, I mean, we've got with us, very lucky that Joe actually has made the time to be with us today. We have the man about trends. So Joe, what do you think the future of luxury conscious travel will look like?
It's a good question. It's a very big question, and I think probably the easiest way to think about it is look at some of the behaviors which have emerged during lockdown. So obviously we've spent the last 4 months being very, very hygiene focused. So consumers, hygiene's been top of mind. They've been very conscious of the environment that they've been in. And as a result, looking to the future of luxury travel after lockdown, hygiene and hygiene standards are going to become a unique selling point. So we're starting to see this in other industries. And as the economy opens up, we're seeing consumers become more concerned with it. So for instance, gyms are highlighting the fact that using UV rays to kill bacteria, how often they clean certain surfaces. And we're beginning to see that emerge in hotels, and consumers are going to look for that. You know, to Barry's point, how often is something cleaned, and to what standards? The other point is around domestic travel. So obviously with restrictions in place around quarantine and going to other countries and coming back, there's a huge consumer demand to explore domestic locations, especially when you think about the fact that previously, you know, far-flung destinations were a bit of a status symbol. You know, the more long haul the flight, kind of more luxurious it was. Consumers are now looking to vacation locally and to vacation with family and friends in small groups in usually rented accommodation, so rented properties or cottages. And the main reason behind that is privacy. And again, going back to that hygiene point, you can control who enters and leaves the property. And you can also, you're self-sufficient, so you don't have to interact with people beyond those who are at the premises and sharing the kind of same resources. And the final big one that is kind of tied, 2 ideas tied together, are nature. So collectively across all demographics, we're seeing people pivot more towards wanting to be surrounded by nature. So during the lockdown around the world, one of the few things you could do was go outside and walk your dog, go for a run, go cycling, explore the world around you. And again, as we come out of lockdown, people, rightly or wrongly, are nervous to gather in big groups. And so they're looking for holidays and vacations and hotels that are remote and have access to nature and woods where they can go and they can start exploring their new hobbies like running and cycling, but also where they're not going to be packed in and compacted. And then the final point in relation to that is around sustainability. And the fact that there's always been this intention gap with people very often saying that they care about sustainability, but in some cases the spending doesn't match up with their attitudes. But the positive impact of lockdown and the impact of lowering carbon emissions and the impact of everyone pulling together for the collective good is starting to be seen. So we're expecting consumers as well to start prioritizing more low carbon solutions, again, focusing on that local and that staycation and more carbon neutral, because they've seen the positive impact that it can have on the environment.
Thank you so much, Joe. And yeah, you are absolutely correct, 100% bang on trend. I mean, we always said that there was this say-do gap between what people intentions was and intentionality and actually, you know, doing it. But we are also seeing that narrowing down. And also the big thing that we're seeing at Positive Luxury is the fact that companies are actually putting their money where their mouth is. So really going to understanding sustainability and what are the things that they can fix, where there is difficult things or low-hanging fruit things, but they're not just talking about it. It's not about a communication thing anymore. It's really, finally, I think that the penny dropped, that is a massive business opportunity to actually properly embed sustainability into the business processes. So let's hope that this is not forgotten and stays. And this is a question for all of you. I don't know who would like to take it first, but how do you see the long-term future of your business? I mean, the travel business. Who would like to take the question first? Please, Barry.
I can step in there. I mean, actually, you know, there's one we're definitely seeing, as Joe pointed out, Switzerland has opened up in advance of most of the rest of the world. So we're starting to see a bit of activity already, and that local activity is definitely the driving force. So we anticipate, I mean, our clientele has always come from all over the world, and I'm sure that will continue to happen. We won't be in a lockdown situation forever, but I think that there probably is going to be more desire to travel locally. You know, sometimes we want to travel all the way around the world, and there's actually amazing treasures on our doorstep which we save for some time in the future. And I think we'll probably be more aware of going and seeing what we can locally. We are also, I think, during the lockdown, you know, we've proven to ourselves and to the companies we work for, and that we can work from anywhere and we can be productive from anywhere. And so we're seeing a definite higher demand for longer term rentals, which I think is interesting, and I think we'll probably see more of that happening in the future too.
Thank you. I mean, do you see the same thing with you, Livia?
Yes. I think during this time we've been thinking a lot about the future, and I think for us and all the companies in travel, and you know, we are travel and well-being, but travel in general, it's really about thinking like we are startups again, relooking at who our clients are, because they probably changed. It's not like before. Look at how pertinent our offer is. We're looking at that every day, making sure our programs were before already about well-being, life enhancing activities, nature, but we have to keep thinking about how to improve our offer. And in general, as a business, agility is key, because it's not going to be like before. I remember we had back in March, we had to scrap our entire marketing plan for the year, and we are revisiting things every 5 days now. And I think this is what the future holds, really. And yes, for us, and I think all companies in the industry.
Thank you, Livia. I mean, is it the same at PetPyjamas, Denise?
Yes, I mean, we are going to concentrate on our domestic market, obviously, and just in the last few weeks, we've had so many inquiries, and particularly people, I think Joe mentioned, there's people wanting to go to remote locations, but you know, to take the whole family, to reconnect with their family, but in their household, maybe getting together on one of these estates and within the Lake District and taking different properties on the estate, but then feeling that they can all get together, but feeling very private. And we've had a lot of interest from these groups, which perhaps we hadn't so much had in the past, but definitely our priority now is to concentrate on the UK and to build on our proposition. But I mean, as I said, it seems that people are valuing their pets even more since the lockdown, and they just want to take them with them on holiday. So it's great from our point of view.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'd like to go to Joe. I mean, you mentioned last time that we talked that you have seen this intergenerational travel. Joe, would like to expand a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, actually, Barry also touched on a really interesting point, which is around work and the role that work is playing is changing, because previously, there was this kind of misconception that in order to be productive, you had to be in the office. And, lockdown has forced everyone to work remotely, and businesses have seen that actually productivity hasn't dropped. And in some cases, it's actually risen. And one of the things that we're tracking is this idea of doing remote working from anywhere. So, maybe you go for a week's holiday to Italy and you kind of rent a apartment, you rent a villa in Italy, and then you can stay there for 2 weeks and work remotely from the same location. Because, as we're doing today, this is all done over Zoom and Fuse and Skype. So suddenly this kind of fusion of work and travel begins to emerge, and we're beginning to see that appear a lot more, and that's going to continue well into next year, especially as companies realize that we don't all have to be in the same office. As long as you've got the check-ins, as long as people are meeting one another virtually, geographic location doesn't have as much of an impact.
That's fantastic. That's great news for the carbon emissions as well. So when we actually travel, is to enjoy ourselves instead of like a whole, 2 days to Abu Dhabi and back. Yes, sorry, Livia.
If I just may add something about multi-generational travel. It is true, and I agree that now obviously people want to travel privately, and we're also getting inquiries and groups traveling just alone. However, I think that the need that we as humans have to connect with other humans is not going away. And I can tell you for a fact that people are desperate to, again, gather as groups and travel again and have that sense of community. So that will come back at some point when governmental regulations allow us to.
That's fantastic. That is great news for everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. And I am conscious of time, although I can talk to you guys all day. I think my last question before we actually go to the people that are actually on our room. So please, everybody else, submit your Q&As on the bottom of your screens. But my last question to you all is, what tips would you give to travel and hospitality business today to get out of lockdown and to kind of reignite their businesses? I don't know who would like to start. Perhaps Joe.
I've got 5, so that's a bit of a cheat, but I'll go through them quickly because I'm conscious of time. So obviously the first one is that consumers are really, really hygiene focused. So adopt that gold standard for hygiene. Second one is around privacy becoming the new luxury. So leverage, privacy and intimacy and that intergenerational idea and reconnection, because that's also a selling point. Transparency is key, because obviously lots of consumers have had flights cancelled, they've had hotels cancelled, and people are worried about, putting their money up if they're not sure if there's going to be a second spike. So actually being really open and upfront about what your refund policy is really useful for consumers. And then finally, this idea of localism as a selling point. Part of the joy of travel is discovering new things, and by bringing those to the forefront wherever they are, whether they're in Norfolk or Switzerland, it doesn't really matter, but making people feel like they're connected to the area, especially local businesses, is key. So those would be my points.
Thank you so much. Livia.
I agree with Joe. On everything, especially on the as I said before, that we really we should almost call every client and really ask them what they want, so we can recraft our products. The last thing I would like to say, I think it will be important for all of us in the industry to relook at our purpose, obviously, because without a purpose, I don't think there's a reason to exist anymore almost, and about our sustainability actions, not only from an environmental point of view, but also from a human point of view. So what we do as an industry to be more inclusive and care for diversity, because at the end, traveling is about discovering new places, the geographically speaking, they might be different, but we travel to discover our similarities as humans. So the travel luxury industry has to be a positive force and send a good message out there.
Thank you so much. I mean, Denise.
Well, one of my tips would be take the plunge and go on holidays as soon as you can, which is this Saturday. So in fact, I'm going on holiday this Saturday. We're taking the 2 dogs, my 2 Norfolk Terriers, to one of our PetsPyjamas hotels in Northumberland, which is just the most fantastic county. It's one of the most undiscovered, most beautiful counties, right by the beach, on a dog-friendly beach year-round. That's one of them. Take the plunge, go away if you can. And the second one is really, I think, as you both mentioned before, to value what the customer wants, and the customer is looking to feel secure and happy, and the dog as well, of course. But we're working with our hotels and properties to make sure that all our customers will feel happy and happy to get away. Yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, Barry, last word from you.
Well, difficult to follow up and add to already fantastic contributions, but I think maybe just to touch on something that Livia, you touched on earlier in the webinar, where you mentioned the importance of being agile. You know, we're in such a fluid world, and clearly this is going to continue. And really, I think a successful business model is not a fixed business model, but one that can move and adjust with the times, and hopefully be looking forward into the future. But yes, also, you know, looking at all of the aspects of sustainability, which are, as we know, are incredibly complex, touch on so many different areas, whether that's, you know, the climate, whether it's inclusiveness or diversity. You know, that's from a business point of view, trying to get on top of that and keep working on that. That requires agility in itself, because the answers are not all there. So that's from a business point of view. I think maybe if I could just extend it a little bit from a traveler's point of view, and I think there, from a traveler's point of view, maybe we will see this now coming out of this, is really go out and look at what your options are, you know, and make these conscious choices to choose to travel in the way that is really makes you feel good, as well as you know, rather than just immediate benefit, but secondary benefits after the holiday. So that's it, really.
Thank you so much, Barry. And we also have a question for you all. So Claudia is going to launch a poll for the audience before the Q&As. And the question for you is, post-lockdown, are you considering going on vacations locally? Whatever locally means for you, whether in the UK or in Europe or in the US or anywhere in the world. Renting long-term accommodation, have holiday, have remote work. Going on multi-generational group holidays, maybe go with your parents or your parents-in-law, etc. Or you're not going to go on holiday. So please take your time, and if you can complete the poll, will be great, and we will be sharing this with you, the result of the poll soonest. And while you're doing that, I'm going to jump onto the Q&As. So the first question is, where can I find out about conscious travel options? Who would like to take that question? Where can I find out about conscious travel options? Of course, apart from Cabin to Positive Luxury, that is. Does anybody want to take the question?
I will step in. I mean, I think, you know, we've got such a wealth of information online, and I think it's really searching. There are, as you pointed out, there are groups and collections of companies with strong ethos that people can go to, as you said, with positive luxury. But really, we've got so much information at our fingertips that I think it's just really being conscious about what you're wanting and searching for it, and you should be able to find it. I don't know if anybody else has got anything more constructive than that to add.
Oh, I was going to say also we've got our pet concierge you could consult about that. Also, I mean, a lot of our hotels and properties, I mean, do offer, I mean, it's as Barry said, it really depends what you're looking for, but certainly if people need clarification, they can talk to our experts about that.
Thank you. And if you, whoever, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the name, but if you want to email hello@positiveluxury.com, myself or somebody from my team will actually reply with some links to you. So thank you so much for the question. This is a question for Joe. What do you think the biggest consumer trend will be in the conscious travel market coming out of lockdown?
Sorry, I had the questions open. I had to close a load of windows. That's an interesting question. I think in terms of the areas that we're looking at in WGSN, we kind of view it as this connection versus convenience. So the behaviors that are sticking are behaviors that make our lives more convenient. So doing online shopping, you know, prior to lockdown, we never used to do that. Well, not in the numbers that we do currently. And consumers have changed their behavior. Whereas connection, you know, interacting with people, experiencing holidays, connecting with people, meeting people, although we're swapping to Zoom, when we can meet, we're not going to continue to celebrate birthday parties on Zoom. And I think that, you know, as we look to the future of the conscious travel market, you know, there will always be that need for human connection and for new experiences and for building bonds. And I think that is probably the main trend that's going to continue. And we've kind of put that, we've digitized it, but I don't think it's going to remain digital for the long term.
Thank you very much, Joe. And I hope your words come true. No more birthday parties on Zoom. I can't wait. This is a question from Catherine. Totally agree with Livia. One of the natural joys that entails from traveling in meeting like-minded individuals. But since we are focusing on hygiene and seeking private trips with family and friends now, will you be tailoring your programs to meet their needs if it isn't already available?
Yes, that's what we're doing at the moment. Our programs, we design the programs and then they are available for private groups. So right now, because it's technically not permitted to do what we were doing before, so to have mixed groups, we're offering them to, it's mostly like group of friends or extended families. And yes, if they do have like different requests, we adapt the program to them. But yeah, so that's what we're doing at the moment. But I hope it's not going to last because I prefer the mixed groups. It's much more fun.
Thank you. This is a question for Barry. What advice can you give to luxury tourism companies that are based in developing countries that have heavily dependent on international tourism and will have greater challenges gaining domestic tourists due to pricing concerns?
Thanks, Diana.
You're welcome.
No, but I think that's a valid question. I think, and the answer is not entirely, I don't know if I have a direct answer to it. I mean, I'm born in Zimbabwe and grew up in Zimbabwe, so I'm well aware of where this question comes from. But you know, I think really there is a challenge there. But what we know is that there are, you know, those the singular focus on international travel is where the issue has come. So I think the fact that international travel has been locked out, being agile and adapting and really turning your focus to local travel if anything, in the long term, there will be ways you market locally. You've got your pricing can't be focused on international clientele who generally have more money. But coming out of this, your business is going to be in a stronger position because you're going to have more of a diverse market and clientele to be drawing on. So yeah, it's probably largely a pricing and marketing challenge. But yeah, it's an important one to get heads around, and once you do, as I say, in the long term, it will stand you in better stead. So tricky issue to get to grips with.
Thank you very much. And from a tricky question to another tricky question, and actually, thank you so much for the person who actually posted that question. What actions do you think the travel industry must have to take to ensure to be diverse and inclusive as possible? Yes, of course, Livia.
Start because it's been my thoughts a lot. So I think we can, there's really many things we can do. Number one, for example, even if you allow your employees to work from home, in a way you are facilitating inclusivity because you allow talents that are all over to work for you, people that maybe couldn't afford to be in London or New York and move here in the big city to come every day to the office. Another example, when you think about your press trips, rather than inviting always the same editors from the magazines you think are the magazine that count, think about also other types of magazines, like invite colored editors to your press trips. Consider the outlets they work for, what people are interested in. So also the products you use and your offer, you think also about everybody when you design your offer. These are some examples, but I think being creative means also thinking there's endless ways to be more inclusive and a force for good, really.
Thank you very much, Livia. And this is a question for Denise, Barry, or Livia, whoever would like to take it. Post-lockdown, I guess everything needs to be thought about a bit differently. Social distancing measures, cleaning, etc., etc. How are you dealing this? And how, for example, Denise, are you telling your hotels to deal with it, if at all?
Well, you know, we have been discussing it with our hotels and other properties, but they seem to be taking such amazing measures themselves. There's very little more that we can tell them to do, but we've needed to find out what they have been doing, and in many cases, like we were talking about, if you want to go to a cottage or a house on an estate, you probably don't even need to see anybody else, but at all. I mean, you're very much you're very private, and you don't need to meet a lot of people to welcome you in, or it's all there ready for you. There's a key in the box that you can take out to open up and put away when you leave, and you're very autonomous. I just think that I'm very impressed with the way our properties are dealing with this, and we're very happy to send our customers to our places. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Denise. This is a question for Joe. What innovation have you seen in the luxury industry or in the industry as a result of COVID?
This could be quite a long answer, so I'll try and keep it brief. But we're in the travel space. Obviously, there's this focus on hygiene. So these big transport hubs. So if you are going through an airport, there's difficulty socially distancing. So it's going to become a lot more commonplace to see. I mentioned it earlier. This blue UV light, which kind of has antibacterial properties, and there's already some experiments with kind of when your luggage gets X-rayed. You know, the blue light will then kill the bacteria. So the tray has been completely disinfected. We're seeing plexiglass being introduced a lot more. So I was actually reading earlier that Las Vegas has reinstalled its gaming tables, but between each kind of section at the card table, they've got this plexiglass booth. so you can continue to gamble, but you're not next to each other. And we're seeing that in restaurants around the world. The Hilton hotel chain, I think I mentioned it earlier, and a couple of other hotel chains have got this kind of gold standard cleaning being introduced. So it's becoming this selling point. And from a consumer perspective, I don't think that people understand fully what it means, but it does sound kind of very convincing. You know, talking about all the different cleaning, the cleaning regime, and the different soaps used, and the different antibacterial properties, and it's just to provide that reassurance. But there's other examples from different industries as well, which again I don't think have quite reached the luxury travel industry or the travel industry as a whole, but will definitely end up in that space. So one of the things we're seeing in retail is screens appearing outside stores. And you actually go over and they're kind of touch screens or low touch screens, but they have a full list of all the stock that's available inside the shop. So you don't actually have to even go into the shop to find out if they've got what you want. We're also seeing low touch solutions, this kind of curbside pickup. So you can order something from John Lewis, and then you don't even have to go into the shop. You can literally, someone will come out and kind of hand it to you as if it was a takeaway, and you can kind of pick it up. So there's lots of innovation coming up in different industries, and it'll be interesting to see which ones the travel industry picks up and kind of runs with to reassure consumers.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Joe. And I just wanted to give quickly the results of the poll. 55% of you have said that are going to go on holidays locally, 21% going on multi-generational group holidays, 13% long-term renting, and 11% not going on holidays at all. So thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to respond to our survey as well. And I mean, we ran out of time now, so I have to hold it to Claudia, but not without saying a big thank you to Joe, to Livia, to Barry, and to Denise for taking the time and sharing with us your insights and your optimism, actually. So thank you very much. And I'd like to hand over to Claudia. Thank you all, and over to you, Claudia.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe, Livia, Barry, and Denise. Thank you all for joining this webinar. Next week, on Thursday at 2 p.m., we will be discussing the power of action with the sustainability expert and author, Jonathan Porritt. So don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter today to receive your special invitation. Thank you again for joining, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.